is. Hey, what's going on, ladies? Dr. Jared here, Mommy Tummy Fix, and today we're talking all about diet. Today we're talking all about nutrition. Specifically, this is the only diet that we ever recommend as part of any of our programs. I wrote up here on the board, this is the last diet that you will ever try. Now, I'm curious who could get behind that, who would like to only go on one more diet in their lives and never have to do it ever again? Like, yes, I think that that's something that we can all get behind. The most recent statistics that I've read in the most recent studies say that the average American woman will try 5 to 7 diets a year. Now, for those of you doing math at home, there's 12 months in a year. That means about every 2 months, about every 8 weeks, we're cycling through something different. We're trying out something new. Now, the question is, why is that? Right? Like, I think for the most part, we get on this new diet. So back up. First of all, we have a goal. We have something that we want to accomplish. We have, this vision of what we want our lives to be. We want our bodies to be. We want our bodies to look a certain way. We want a certain amount of health in our lives. We have this ideal of what we want that to become. And then we try to pick a path that is going to most closely get us to that goal. And we see these diets everywhere. Like, literally, how many diets are out there? I've got a few of the most popular ones right now written up on the board, but really there are hundreds of different diets that you can try. Some of us, we go back to repeatedly and we say, well, it didn't work the first or the second or the third time. Maybe it'll work the fourth or the fifth time. Am I right? If you've ever tried that. And so there are all these diets out there, and we're trying them every 8 weeks because, again, we have this goal that we think is going to get there. Usually motivation is pretty high when we start a diet, right? We're super consistent. We stick with it. It's easy to get excited about. But then what happens after a week? After a week, we kind of say, wow, I did last week, but I have to do it again this week? Okay, I can do it. I can do it again this week. And then we get to the end of week 2, and we're like, week 3, here we go. And then motivation starts to kind of die, and we start to lose motivation. We don't really see the progress that we wanted to see. And soon we think, well, this isn't working. I'm just going to go back to the way that things were. That's kind of this diet roller coaster, right? Or a lot of times, when motivation is high, we'll lose weight, and then motivation starts to wane, and we'll kind of gain the weight back. We get up here and we realize, I need to make another change. Try another diet, lose weight, gain weight back. How many of you have ever done that before? Am I right? How many of you have ever kind of been on this diet roller coaster? How many diets have you tried this year alone, or in the last year, or the last 2 years? What I want to do today is stop that. What I want to do today is tell you about literally the last diet that you ever have to try, the last diet that you ever have to go on. And this is how we're going to do it. Let me close this window. Let's see real quick. Okay, very cool. Streaming this live this morning. And so the last diet that you'll ever try. Now, here's the thing. And this is what's fascinating to me. This is how I kind of like to start this conversation. I've got 5, again, of the most popular diets. I've got keto, intermittent fasting, Whole30, paleo, and Atkins back in the day, right? How many of you have ever tried one of those diets? I mean, I'm willing to bet that quite a few people out there have maybe tried at least one of those at one time. Now, here's the question that I like to ask. Again, these are kind of the 5 most popular diets right now. Why are those the most popular diets? Well, okay, it's because we see them everywhere, right? Like, you have a friend that's on one of these, or a family member, or you've tried them yourself. Someone that you know has done one of these, right? Why do we know about it then? Why is it so popular? Well, the reason why it's so popular, why it's so mainstream, is because it's effective, right? Every one of us knows or has seen a testimonial of someone on keto that has lost a ton of weight. And you think to yourself, that person looks like I want to be. That goal, that goal outcome that I initially talked about, I want to be there. That person got there because of this. Therefore, I must follow that same path, right? And so we jump on keto. When that doesn't work, we start looking around again, and we see someone who had success with intermittent fasting. And you think, okay, again, that's my goal outcome. I want to look like that. I must need to jump on intermittent fasting in order to get that. And we try that one out. And then we do the same thing with Whole30. We do whatever diet because we see someone who has experienced success with it. right? We're like, oh, okay, that's where I want to be. That person has experienced success. That's how I need to get there. And like really, that's why we've heard about all of these, is because yes, they are effective, and there are many people who have seen success following these diets. And again, success, loosely termed, it means different things to different people. In the broadest sense, weight loss, right? Most of us go on a diet to lose weight. We see people who have lost weight with these diets, and therefore we think, okay, that's the path that I need to follow to get there. Okay, and so now that that's established, let's clarify this. Does keto have all the answers? Like, yes, we've seen people who have been successful on keto. Is that the only path to get there? Well, the answer to that is no. Otherwise, none of these other diets would exist, right? Each one of these has individuals, has groups of individuals who has seen success by following the path of this diet, right? And so is any one of these right? Is any one of these like the all-inclusive, like end-all, be-all, this is the diet that you must follow in order to see success? Okay, the answer to that is no, right? If only one of these had all the answers, that would be the only successful diet out there. And whenever we wanted to lose weight, we would know, okay, I must follow that diet plan because that diet plan is the only one that is successful. But because all of these have an element of success to it, it becomes really difficult to follow because we don't know. We think to ourselves, okay, well, which one of these is going to work the best for me? Which one of these is going to work the best for my situation? So what does that mean for us? That means that there's something about every diet out there that makes it successful, right? Does that make sense? There's something about keto that makes it successful. There's something about intermittent fasting that makes it successful. There's something about every diet plan that there's this piece, there's this component to it. It's not this in and of itself, but there's something within it that if we can just pull that out and say, that's it, like that's the golden nugget right there. That's the thing that I need to follow in order to get to that goal outcome that I'm after. If we can pull that out of each one of these, do you think that you could be successful, right? Are you following this? Because I mean, that's the treasure. That's like the piece that we're after. Like there are like, 4 or 5 things that you need to do with keto, but if we can grab that one that's the most effective, same thing with intermittent fasting. If we can grab that one thing that's most effective and pull that out and be like, look, this is it right here. Like all this other stuff, we can just throw that right out because if I can follow this, I'm going to have success. If we can do that with all of these, would you be interested in what that looks like? Okay, yeah, right. Okay, very cool. And so let's go ahead and let's jump in and let's do this. Let's see if we can pull out what that piece is. Okay, and so on the ketogenesis diet, what is it? What's our restriction? So here I have diet, here's all the diets, and we're just going to clarify each one of these, okay? So for those of you on the live stream right now, when we have the keto diet, what is it that we're after, okay? Don't eat what? Drop it in the chat real quick, okay? Fat, right? Okay, and so that's an easy answer. No. Sorry, I'm so sorry. The keto diet, all you eat is fat. I'm so sorry. Keto diet, what you're going to do is you're going to say no carbs, right? All you're going to do on keto is eat high amounts of fat and high amounts of protein, and you're going to be like religious about not eating these carbohydrates, right? Over here on intermittent fasting, what's the whole premise? If you were to sum up intermittent fasting for me in a couple of words or a phrase, what's intermittent fasting? Don't eat, we're going to call it in certain windows, right? Windows. So you have a window where you can eat, and then you have a window where you're not supposed to eat. And that looks different for everybody. Some people, they close eating at 7 at night, and then they don't eat until noon the next day. And then they have this little 7-hour window where they'll eat like 1 to 2 meals. But that's kind of the gist of intermittent fasting. Whole30, that was really popular, a couple of years ago. I feel like there's still enough of it out there today that I can put it up here on the list. What's the whole premise of Whole30? Don't eat what? You're going to put processed foods, right? So the whole idea behind Whole30 is, and I mean, like, I stand behind it. I really like it. Like, if it comes from a plant, don't eat it. If it grows on a plant, you can eat it, right? I mean, like, that's Whole30, like, in a nutshell, which is a diet that I actually really like. I really recommend that one. Don't eat the processed foods. Stay to, meats and vegetables and fruits and don't eat anything that comes in a box or a package, right? That's kind of the idea behind Whole30. Okay, what about paleo? Paleo, well, kind of the same thing. Like, don't eat necessarily, processed foods. We'll just do one of these, right? We'll just make it simple. Don't eat like processed foods. With paleo, we're eating a lot of meat. We're eating a lot of protein. We're kind of cutting down on the other things. That's kind of the idea behind paleo. For those of us who remember the Atkins diet, which was super popular way back when, right? What was the whole idea behind the Atkins diet? And Atkins is crazy. Like, if you look into Atkins, like, people were getting really sick on the Atkins diet. And it's crazy that we'll put ourselves through that. Like, a keto flu is very real, right? We'll put ourselves through all this pain because we think that that's what our bodies have to do in order to see that success, in order to see that outcome. And so if we write the Atkins diet up here, what was the whole premise of the Atkins diet? Once again, like, we're being super religious about like not eating any carbs. For some reason, like in our society, in our culture, we've come to think that carbs are like the devil itself. And so, like, anyway, that's a topic of a whole nother video that we could do. And so, again, the goal behind this is to identify that one golden nugget, that if we can just pull that piece out of each one of these diets, that's going to be the diet that we're going to follow, because that's going to be the most effective. And so as you look at this, what is that piece? What is that one thing that each one of these diets has in common that we can pull out and follow in order to see success? Anybody? Anyone? And I'm going to give you a hint on this because I actually wrote it on the board. And it's been written on the board ever since I started this live video. Ever since I started this live stream, it's written right up there, plain English, right in front of you. This is the key right here. This is the key to every diet on the planet, is just don't eat. Okay? But that's going to mean very different things to different people. And what I want to do is I'm going to break that down in a way that is very realistic for you. Because think about the word diet. For those of us, when we think about the word diet, a lot of times that's associated with deprivation, restriction. We label foods as good and bad, right? Those of you out there on this live stream right now, who has ever labeled a food like, oh, that's good food, I can eat that. That's a bad food, I can't eat that, right? That's what happens when we start thinking about diet. We start to think about self-control. We start to think about, I messed up, or I'm off my diet, or I'm on my diet. This is the type of verbiage that we use to describe the way we eat these days. And honestly, it's something that we absolutely need to get away from. Who's interested? Who would like me to tell you how we can do that? Who wants to know how we can kind of get away from that? This is how I'm going to do it right here. What most of us don't understand, and the reason I started this whole thing with kind of the idea of on again, off again dieting, and people will go on a diet for a couple months and then they'll go off a diet and then they realize they need to go back on a diet. Most often, the reason why we do that, the reason why we ride that diet roller coaster, are these two scales right here. I've got a 0 to 10 scale of effectiveness right here. Now, when we look for a diet, we want something that's going to be as effective as possible. And this is our comfort zone right here. This is kind of like the 0 to 1 as far as effectiveness. This is like, Doritos and ice cream and pizza and kind of whatever I want, whenever I want. That's the diet that you're currently on that has got you into your current circumstances. Take a look at your body. Like, your current circumstances, the current body that you have right now is a direct result of the choices that you make right here. Okay? And so for a lot of people, for those of us who want to lose weight, it's in this kind of 0 to 1 range as far as effectiveness is concerned. And then when something clicks in our mind, we say, okay, I've got to change this. I've got to clean up my eating. I've got to get healthy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this huge jump, and I'm going to get all the way up to here. I'm going to do a level 10 effective diet. And so I'm going to find keto, and I'm going to go from eating, again, like Doritos and soda and ice cream on one day to like just chicken and rice on the next day. And that's the diet that I'm going to follow for the next 8 to 10 weeks, like in order to make this progress that I'm ultimately after. What happens is here, let me explain it like this. What a lot of us don't realize is that when we make a jump that's this big on the effectiveness scale, stepping on my weights over here, when we make a jump that's this big on our effectiveness scale, we also have this other scale right below it. And that one I like to label sustainability. And that one is actually the direct inverse of the effectiveness scale. Meaning, the effectiveness that you were at was in this 0 to 1 range. That is a level 10 on the sustainability scale. Obviously, that's something that you can stick with forever, for like your entire life, right? You have so far. Like, that's been your sustainability. That's the way you've always done things. It's incredibly sustainable in the long term because it's incredibly comfortable. But when we make this huge jump to this radical lifestyle change, what we typically do is jump all the way to a 0 on the sustainability scale. We jump all in on this crazy diet, and yes, it is effective, but we can't stick with it long enough to see these results. That's why after like 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, you start to think to yourself, this is really hard. And I don't really like this. I don't really like the way this feels. I don't like preparing 2 meals for my family. I don't like having to meal prep. I don't like this restriction. I don't like having to say yes to certain foods but no to others. And what we do is we tend to creep right back down this way towards what we know and what is comfortable and what is sustainable. And so what do I recommend instead? And again, the last diet that you will ever try, we don't need to make this huge, massive jump right now, okay? What I typically recommend to people is, okay, if right now we're in like a 0 to 1, what would like a 2 to 3 jump look like? What would that look like for you? Maybe that's drinking 1 less soda a day. Maybe that's, picking an apple instead of a donut for an afternoon snack. Okay, what's something that you could do? Maybe that's drinking more water. Maybe like you're walking around dehydrated right now and you think to yourself, okay, if I can just get in like 64 ounces of water in my day, that would be a win. Okay, it doesn't have to be this huge, radical, massive jump. It just has to be a little jump that you can then stick to long term. And so that's kind of the effectiveness and sustainability. And so basically, the way that I like to wrap this, or the way that I like to explain this, the last diet that you will ever try is, the way that I like to explain this is that if we can just control, and I didn't leave myself any room over, the way that I like to explain this is if we can just control 2 things. If we can just control the quantity of food, but more importantly, the quality of food that's going into your mouth, you're going to experience massive success with this. You're going to experience massive results. And so those are the 2 things that you need to focus on: the quality and the quantity of the food that you eat. And the way that I like to explain this is this last little part right down here. Whoa, that's a star. There it is. Okay, this last little part. I have cutting calories and I have cutting food. Now, for the most part, when people think about this, and especially like in diet culture, we're going to draw in an equals sign here, right? If I need to cut calories, we all know that the only way to lose weight is that you're going to cut calories, right? If I burn more calories than I consume, I'm going to lose weight. I mean, that is like fitness 101, right? Burning more calories than you eat equals weight loss. That's the only way to get there. The only way you're ever going to lose weight is to to burn more calories than you consume. And so for the most part, most of us think that in order to cut calories, right, we need to decrease the calories we eat, we need to increase the calories that we burn, and then we're going to experience weight loss because there's that deficit there. So for most of us, we equate cutting calories to cutting food, right? Quantity. And that's, again, what all of these diets have in common, right? This part right here, don't eat. Don't eat certain foods or don't eat during certain times. That's what they all talk about right here. But what I want to propose to you today, and the idea that I want to throw out there, is I'm going to draw a line through this, and then I'm going to circle it, make it big and bold. The cutting calories does not have to mean cutting food out of your diet, okay? Jared, what in the world does that mean? Here's the example that I like to give to people. A serving of peanut butter, who likes peanut butter? Like this guy loves peanut butter, right? A serving of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons, okay? Think of what 2 tablespoons looks like. Put that marker down. Think about like 2 tablespoons, right? A serving, that's a serving size of peanut butter. We get 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. How many calories are in a serving of peanut butter? And again, it depends what kind of peanut butter you buy, like all of that. But for the most part, the number that I have in my mind is 188. Okay, that's kind of, oh, I don't know, that's just, I think I looked at the back of my peanut butter one day and that's what was on there. A serving, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is 188 calories. Now, if you were to eat a serving of peanut butter, how full would you feel afterwards? Like, I mean, like I can take down like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and like not even bat an eye, right? Like 2 tablespoons, more like 2 containers. Am I right? You're not going to feel very full. And why is that? Because it's small and because it's not very satisfying. It doesn't tell our stomach that we're full because we don't get any stretch reflex in our stomach. What happens is that as we eat food, our stomach has to stretch and expand in order to accommodate that food. It's that stretch reflex that signals our brain, hey, I'm pretty full down here. Our stomach tells our brain, like, hey, no more. We kind of need to cut this out. Like, I'm getting pretty full. And so that's kind of the signal to our brain that we're full, that we need to stop. If I eat 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, I'm not going to get anything, right? Like that's like a drop in the bucket. That's a pregame. Am I right? And so what instead could we replace 2 tablespoons of peanut butter with in order to see more satiety, in order to feel fuller? Well, here's kind of some numbers that I love to share. These ones blow my mind. 2 apples. Okay, so you can eat 2 whole apples and get 188 calories. You can eat 2 bananas and get 188 calories. Greek yogurt, right? And so like you can eat 2 containers of Greek yogurt and get 188 calories. You can eat 30 baby carrots. Like if you like those baby carrots, right? You can eat 30 of those and that is 188 calories. Or the one that I love is 4.5 cups of spinach. Think about what a cup of spinach looks like. Multiply that by 4.5, and you can eat 4.5 cups of spinach and get 188 calories. Now, how full would you feel if you ate 4.5 cups of spinach? Or if you ate 30 baby carrots, or if you ate 2 apples, or 2 bananas, or 2 whole containers of Greek yogurt? You're going to feel a lot fuller. It's going to be more complete calories that will then last longer, okay? And so again, the point here is that when we talk about calorie restriction, we don't have to talk about food restriction. And that's why I like those 2 words. I tell people about quality of food and I talk about quantity of food. And if we can control both of those things, if we can talk more about quality and quantity, all of a sudden, you're going to start to make more progress. It's cutting down on the quantity of the things that aren't good for your body and aren't filling, and replacing that with higher quality foods on a more consistent basis. But once again, it's not eliminating everything that you love about food. It's not about eliminating food groups that you love, and I'm not going to say you can never do this and you should always do that, because of the restriction that's associated with that. When we start using words like always and never and allowed and not allowed and yes and no, it becomes very hard to follow, because in our brains we think to ourselves, oh, I have to do it this certain way, and if I don't do it that certain way, I messed up or I failed. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But if we start talking about it like this down here, and we start to say, okay, let's just start to maybe swap out some of the food that you're used to with something that's maybe a little healthier for you, right? What if we took what if instead of going if you work and you go out to eat 3 times a week, what if we meal prepped 2 of those times? What if we brought something from home that was a little healthier, a little more sustainable? What if we did that twice and just cut down and you're just going out to eat once a week? Or again, I kind of mentioned soda. If you have to have that big soda to get you through your afternoon, maybe 1 day a week, we replace that with a big cup of water and take a walk around the block instead. You would be so impressed. You would be so surprised at what that does for your energy level. right? Like if we're drinking that caffeinated soda in the afternoon, because like I gotta have my caffeinated beverage to get me through my afternoon, try replacing it with a water and try going for a walk, right? Just take like a 10-minute break, like stand up at your desk, maybe walk around the building, go up and down the flight of stairs. When you come back to your desk, I promise you'll have just as much, if not more energy than that caffeinated beverage, but you'll also not have all of those empty calories as well. And so this is exactly the line of thinking. So again, you're on the Mommy Tummy Fix YouTube channel. The Mommy Tummy Fix program is the program that I created with my wife as a postpartum specialist to help women with their two goals after pregnancy. The two things that they come to see me the most often for are, Jared, I want a flatter stomach, and Jared, I want to lose weight. Jared, I want to lose baby weight. And so the way that we do that is with a core rehab program, clean eating, healthy clean eating, and regular cardio activity, low intensity fat burn cardio activity. And so what we wanted to talk to you today about is, again, kind of the nutrition piece of this. This is the type of diet that we recommend in the Mommy Tummy Fix program. Now, let me ask you this. Does this feel good? Does this feel like something that you can stick to a little bit longer? Does this feel like something that's maybe a little different than diet culture that we're typically used to seeing? But does this feel like something that you're like, oh, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And I like the idea that I can still have freedom to kind of choose foods that I want, that I don't have to make this huge, massive jump and follow this regimented diet plan, but I can kind of make this smaller jump and I can do that more consistently. And then what happens is our comfort zone expands up here into the 1-2. And then we make the jump again, we expand into the 2-3, and before we know it, after a certain amount of time, we've cleaned up enough things and we're seeing progress, and it becomes this momentum, and it's an amazing thing. This is the type of diet plan that we recommend on the Mommy Tummy Fix program. Now, if you're interested in learning more about it, you can do it over at mommytummyfix.com. It's super easy to remember, right? mommytummyfix.com, but I've also got it linked in the description to this video if you want to learn more about it. We would love to see you over there. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and drop them in a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. If you haven't liked this video, if you did like this video, if you haven't subscribed to Mommy Tummy Fix here on YouTube, we would love to see you back for more videos. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We'd love to see you. Let's see. I think, oh, cool. So yeah, Divergent Mind. I think this is great. Thank you so much. Again, if you have any comments, if there's anything else we can help you out with, let us know. mommytummyfix.com, and have a fantastic day. We'll see you guys again soon. Thank you.